Yes.
Okay. So the next thing is wildcards. So so let's understand what why do we need wildcards. So we have an example here. Consider the problem of writing a routine that print out all the elements in a collection. So we will have a collection and we want to print all the elements of that collection. So we have a simple function print collection. Inside the print collection, we are passing a older type collect. This code is an example of the old approach which we used to do. So in the old approach before generics, what we were doing is that we are writing this declaration collection C and we are printing all the elements. This was an old approach that if you wanted to do the same thing you using generics, what you would have done. So you would have coded this. So you would have specified object, right?
Yes.
So this function is a generic function actually. So it can this function the same function can be called using for strings, for integer, for your custom class, for anything. So to make this function generic, you would have specified object here. So see, so what does this say is that the problem is that this new version is much less useful than the old one. This new version is not useful, so useful as compared to the older version. Why? Because we are specifying that this list can only hold the objects, not integer, not float, not string, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again we are on the same point that this is not correct. So to handle such situations that when you do not know which type will be passed to the function or the collection. So to handle such situations, we specify the type using question mark when you do not know which type will be passed. So this function using this declaration, when you put a question mark, you can either pass integer or float or double, anything, any custom class.
Okay.
So this is the use of wildcard. So now you are able to pass any kind of object to this function, and this function can handle any kind of object actually. So the sole exception is null. This is a member of every type actually. So all the types have this member. So integer, you can pass null to any such declaration. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have bounded wildcards. Okay. So we have an example here that consider a drawing application that can draw shapes such as rectangles and circles. So we would have declared this simple class abstract class shape. Inside the shape we have function draw. Then we have two child classes circle and rectangle, and we have a same functions there draw, and it takes a type of canvas. So to handle such situations, what would have we would have done is that we would have declared shape and list. So this function draw all, it takes a list. So you can either pass a rectangle or you can pass a circle also. But again, we have reached to the same point, the same problem, that you are declaring shape here. So this is not a super type of rectangle or circles when we consider generics, right?
Yes.
So this object cannot hold any child object, because in generic that is not possible. So this declaration this is not useful. So what is useful is that in such situations you use bounded wildcards. So what we do, we use question mark, and then we use extends, then we use shape. So you can pass any list to this function, and that list should be of type, and that type should be a child class of that super type which we declare here. Okay,
Yeah.
this is clear.
Yeah.
Okay, again we have another concept to understand. So whatever that is not possible, so they may ask you a question of that thing. So something which is not possible, they will ask question about this. So understand this also.
Okay.
So what we are doing is we have the same function add rectangle. So add rectangle takes a type of any type which is child class of shape. So it could be a rectangle or it could be a circle. So what we are trying to achieve is that we are trying to say shapes dot add new rectangle. So this is not possible. You should be able to figure out why the code is disallowed. The type of the second parameter shape dot is action as unknown subtype of shape, right? So what does this mean is that this question mark always means that unknown. So unknown means anything. So it could even be a child of rectangle class, anything. So that is incorrect actually. So when you do such type of declaration, you cannot call the add function. Though you can call the get function. Shapes.get will work, and you can assign the object to rectangle. But this thing, new rectangle. So this rectangle is not allowed. So rectangle or circle, anything, any code will not work, because the declaration question mark says that any child of shape. So shape can have thousands of childs. So which child we are passing, we do not know. So Java will not allow you unless you specify the exact type in Generis, because Generis is for type safety. And if you allow write this kind of code, this is against the type safety, right? So you cannot pass any child which is uh, a subclass of shape to the add function, because if you add it, you will add a rectangle, you will add a circle, all code will work. So at the time of retrieving, imagine that at the time of retrieving you will not be able to determine which object you added, right?
Yes.
This is invalid. So whenever you get any example and it writes a code, such kind of code, so we'll have to consider the case when we are trying to read the object. So at the time of reading the object, we'll be able to uh, are we breaking the type safety or not? So we'll have to check that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So generic functions. So you can write your own function. Generic functions, we have already done that. So we have a function from array to collection. So this function will take an array and it will convert it to a collection. Just an example we are having here. So this thing, we are passing an object of type array of type object, and we have a collection of unknown type, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this was our goal, that we wanted our function to handle any kind of array, and it will convert that array to an array list or any collection. So again, this will not work. Why this will not work? So at the time of adding this, okay, so we collections dot add, so we are iterating each element of the array, and we are adding all the elements to the collection. So you see that this will not work, because this object, you may pass integer here and you may pass float here, or you may pass string here on the question mark, right?
Yes.
So again, at the time of retrieving, how will you know that whether this object is the object you have added is string or it is an integer? So Java will not allow this. So to cope such problems, what we will do, we'll use an array of type T and collection of type T. So now we are sure that the array will be of type T and the collection will be of type T. So we'll read all the elements from the collection or the array, and we will add all the elements to the collection. So this is following the concept of type safety, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So it is possible to use both generic methods and wildcards. So generic methods mean you are specifying some generic types T. So this is a generic method which takes a generic type, and you can use the generic type with the, so question mark extends T. So whatever object you are passing should be a of the child class of this type T. Okay. So what we have? Okay, this is a summary of what we have just discussed. So I will not discuss it. So you just go through this document, and if you have any question, you can let me know. This is just a
Okay.
summary. So one some few things let me discuss. So what you can do, what you can't do using generics. All permutation combinations are here.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll send you a URL of this document.
Okay.
So if you have any question, Vijay, related to generics, we can discuss it anytime, even after the end of this course. I have no problem. So
Okay.
so you can just send me an email that if you have a question related to this.
Okay.
Okay.
So what are we covering tomorrow?